Welcome to another tutorial video. In this one we're looking at Sbc'S squad building challenges and whether or not you should do them. Obviously we get lots of Sbc'S, we probably get somewhere between 3 to 4 a week. During certain promos it might even be more than that, and they're so often it's probably a bit too hard to constantly do a video on each one and say whether or not it's good value or not. On my actual personal YouTube I do try to look at them every day, but for this video I'm trying to give you a personal guide on so you can look at Sbc'S and determine yourself whether you think they are worth doing or not. There's a few different criteria that I look at when it comes to an Sbc. The first is going to be, does the player suit the game? So let's look at James Rodriguez. He's one of the most recent ones. His passing is insane, like 88 passing on a card is very, very good at this point of the game. His dribbling looks really good. He's got great ball control, composure, 88 dribbling's amazing, his shooting's fantastic. But, and this is a big but, we look and he's got 58 pace. This game, unfortunately, is very, very much built around pace, and a game that's built around pace, you cannot be stuck with a guy with 58 pace. In the attacking midfield position, it's not quite as essential. Maybe could get away with 80 pace, but he's that slow that he would be a liability. So for me, I wouldn't be using James Rodriguez at all. Personally, I just don't think he's a usable card. His physicals are okay, but like his pace is so bad. And then we look at his weak foot, and yes, weak foot again this year isn't quite as big, but 2-star weak foot with really low pace, it just instantly puts me off this card. So I'm instantly saying I'm not going to do this card. So the first thing we'll look at is the stats. Is the card good enough for the current game? James Rodriguez isn't. When it comes to the one-to-watch promos, or we might get headliners later in the year, cards that upgrade based off of performances, you also have to think, will they get informed? James probably will, but he'll still be too slow. Matuidi, very solid card at the start. Weak foot and skills are a bit meh, but it doesn't matter too much because he's a CDM. However, he plays in the MLS. The MLS has a break soon, I think, won't play for a few months, so he might not get in forms for a long time, so it's probably a waste of coins. So it's easy to decide Sbc's like that. The next thing we need to look at is the price. So if you've decided that the player looks good enough, looks very usable, is he good value? Axel Witsel is a very usable card. 4-star, 4-star. If you was to put him at CDM or centre mid, he's probably one of the best non-icon centre mids in the game right now. He can do a bit of everything. He doesn't really have a massive weakness. He also doesn't have many like insane stats. His passing is brilliant. He's very good composure, ball control, can shoot. He's a very nice card. Good league, not hard to link in. But when we look at the price tag, it's around 150,000 coins, I think it was, to do Axel Witsel. You can use websites like FootWiz, Footbin. Footbin's very good for prices, and Sbc's. Footbin's one way you can look there and it will tell you how much an Sbc should cost and give you solutions on there, so it's a very good website to use for that. He's coming in around 150 to 200k. And yes, you can use untradeable cards in Sbc's and to make it cheaper, but you have to look and think long term, okay, I might be able to make this Sbc cheaper, but could I have used an untradeable and a better Sbc? Later on in the year, we're going to get Icon Sbc's, where with the Icon Sbc's, you'll want a lot of untradables because Icons are going to be very good cards in general. Card worth it. For me, if Axel Witsel was tradable, he probably would be, but because any Sbc you do is untradeable for a player, it means you can't sell them. I don't think I'm going to pay that for a card like that. The next thing is as well, how long do you think you could use this card in your team? Axel Witsel might last a month or two before he's a bit behind the curve, and by that I mean cards are starting to come out that are quite a lot better. If you see an Sbc that you think he could last in my team for 3 or 4 months, even if he's a bit expensive, you probably think, yeah, I can go for that, because he's going to last a long time in the game cycle and help me get better wins in rivals, weekend league, have more fun. So that is one way of looking at how to do an Sbc. Maybe he might be a bit expensive, but he's good enough that he'll last a long time. One card, I think it was either FIFA 20 or 19, but I think it was 20, was Eden Hazard. He was very expensive, but he could pretty much last the rest of the game. So it made it a lot more viable to a lot of people. Look at the card and think, does it suit your team? So many times SBCs come out that we look at and think that could be really good. It's a really nice card, but it just won't ever get into your team. Like one card that I think came out last year that was really good was a flashback Rooney. But if you didn't have a lot of icons or English players, and there's not that many great English players, he just wouldn't fit into your team and it'd be a waste of coins. Don't fall for the trap of doing an SBC just because it looks really good or really good value if he's never going to play for you. Really try plan and think, I'm only going to do SBCs that are not bad value and will suit my team. Don't buy an SB or don't do an SBC for a player that you'd have to rechange your whole team. They're just not worth it for that because they're untradeable and won't last. One of the other things is looking at like the links players have. So Axel Witsel, very easy to fit into your team being Bundesliga and Belgium. If we get a Japanese league player who looks pretty good and he's Korean, probably never going to be able to link him into your team. So don't do him just because he looks really good if he's never going to fit into your team. SBCs are a fun part of the game, and sometimes we get absolute bargains, but you really have to consider all these different factors to make sure that you are getting a good player at a fair price, because EA like to use SBCs to take people's coins off the market, because if you have less coins, you're more likely to buy packs. Another way of looking at value in SBCs is comparing the card to what's on the market right now. So if you was to compare Axel Witsel's card, a similar-ish type of card, it's not perfectly similar, might be Pogba. Pogba's a bit slower, a little bit worse shooting, bit worse passing, similar-ish dribbling, probably a bit worse defending but quite a bit better physical with 5-star skills. Pogba probably isn't much more expensive right now than Axel Witsel, and he's tradable. So if you see something similar on the market that's a similar price but it's tradable, it probably means the SBC isn't going to be good value. There is also an element as well that some of the other SBCs that aren't just for players might come out, that might have bargains in there, that might be really good for cheap coins. It's worth doing those. If you haven't already, make sure you do the, which ones is it? The Hybrid Nations and Hybrid Leagues. They are guaranteed profit. You can't lose coins on these even if you got really bad packs, so please make sure that you do those. And the last thing I would say for SBCs is don't not do them unless it is a complete rip-off. If you see a player that you really like the look of, it is worth doing them because the game's also about having fun. Let's say Rooney was one of your favourite players of all time and he came out last year, then it might be worth doing because the game's about having fun. You don't need to literally only just do SBCs for players that are the absolute best value. I hope this video has been able to help you. I hope it's given you some good advice that's going to help you improve your team in the long term. Thank you very much for watching. Sorry, I'll do the ending again. My alerts from my stream were still turned on. I hope this video has been able to help you. I really appreciate you watching this video and being a part of the Gamers Class membership. Have a great day.